Yay, we're back. It's the Made in China podcast. This is Rico speaking. I know what you're thinking. It's been 2 weeks. Where's the podcast been? Busy with the business, but no worries. We've recorded 3 episodes, so we're right now ahead of schedule. Gonna keep the weekly podcast going. In this episode, I interviewed Zam Tool. He's a friend of mine. I know him from Enter China, which is a private mastermind group. We talked about Amazon FBA, so the basics and what the advantages are of being based in China while starting up your FBA service, FBA business rather. And I think it was a good episode. Right now, as a sourcing company, FBA has piqued my interest a lot, so I'm really learning a lot about that, and I'm immersing myself. We have Amazon FBA customers right now, so I want to sit down and I want to talk to people who are selling on Amazon FBA and just kind of exchange ideas and talk about the benefits of being in China, how you can help other people. So that's exactly what we did with Zam. And without further ado, enjoy the episode.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
FBA. It's what's in right now,
Yes, sir.
So I guess we could just start from the beginning. Like, how did you discover FBA?
So I was coming off of, I was living in Chiang Mai, and I was doing the whole digital nomad thing, and I got myself into doing freelancing and all that stuff. But with freelancing, I realized that I was basically building a job for myself and not really a business. So I decided to move on to other things. And right after I did freelancing, I tried building my own products, 2 of which was digital. One was physical, and I basically ended up flopping on my face. And around that time, I also heard about, FBA. And since I was, I was just coming straight off of 3 failures, I was like, why not? I'll give this FBA thing a shot. The business model, was awesome. A lot of my friends were doing well with it, so I said, why not? I'll give it a shot, and then here I am.
Side note, like that time period when you were working on the physical products, we just started our mastermind group together that time, right?
Yeah. Right, that's right.
And that was my second mastermind group, but the first one I had in China. And believe you, I also failed at the project that I was working at that time, which was I was trying to work on a Kickstarter project myself.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But I mean, it was good. It was a good learning process. When I think back now to what I was thinking about doing and how much I didn't know about the manufacturing process and stuff like that. I was just saying, oh yeah, I can do this, but then I didn't really have a concept of how I would make that product. I just had an idea for it,
Right, exactly. And I remember you were just going on different forums and asking people for their opinions and things like that, and how Yeah,
and that worked actually. But what's fucked up is I feel guilty now because I remember posting on one particular, I can say the name of the forum. I remember posting on the Rushvi forum. And I went on a thread and I was just like, hey guys, I've got this business idea. I'm working on this. I said something along the lines of a travel accessory. What is the biggest issue you guys have with your current travel accessories? Right. And, I made this promise. I'm like, hey guys, if you guys give me feedback, you can learn about doing manufacturing in business, manufacturing in China, and I'm going to give you all my ins and outs that I learned as this process goes on. and I got 10 responses, and people were really interested in what I was doing, and then I just never followed up after that. But you live and you learn, right?
Oh, absolutely, and that's the way to go.
Yeah. So you start getting into FBA. So I know for sure we were doing the mastermind at the time when you started looking into your first product, and that time period for me, FBA was still this kind of abstract idea. If
Right.
somebody who's listening to a podcast right now, they're like, what the hell is Amazon FBA? How would you break it down to them?
Okay, sure. So Amazon is FBA is FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, and basically it's a process by which you build your own storefront on the Amazon platform, as in like Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, and you select a product, you research a product that you want to sell, and once you find the product, you put your own label, you put your own you put your own private label. That's what they call it, private labeling, and then once you do that, you ship it to Amazon warehouses, and you sell your item on Amazon, on the Amazon platform. And when a customer orders from your storefront, Amazon fulfills it for you, as in like they take care of all of the cash that your customer pays you, and they also take care of the shipping of your item to the actual customer as well. Amazon gets a cut of the price that you're selling it for, and you also get a cut of the price that you're charging your customers for.
Yeah, and the benefit is that you get to tap into Amazon's network, right? And then you get the validation of being on Amazon, right?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people have really great experience using the Amazon platform, and basically you're leveraging their reputation, their services in order to sell your product.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward. Like if I'm somebody and I'm looking to buy a product, if I go on Amazon, I'm just assuming that this product is legitimate because it's on Amazon, right?
Absolutely, right.
And one of the interesting things about FBA, the more I dig deeper into it, is how easy it is for somebody to make their company look like it's a huge corporation or like this huge company, when it's just a dude in his home office selling 3-4 products straight out of China.
Dude, you're talking about me. Exactly.
I mean at some stage people are making like a lot of money. For example, Scott Volger. But like, you listen to his podcast and he works out of his home office. He doesn't have a, office with staff and all that, right? But he's, he might be making $30,000 a month from FBA.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's like one of the biggest things that allured me to Amazon FBA, is because of the fact that once you have it up and running, it can basically be a location independent business. It basically, Amazon does all of the hustling work for you, the fulfillment for you. And so all that you really have to do is just take care of the inventory issues with, factories and things like that. And for the most part, like once you have a product established, you can just basically, let it run by itself while, sipping pina colada on the beaches of Thailand. I mean, it's really up to you.
Yeah. Okay, so like how many products are you on to right now? Like, are you in your second or third?
Right now, I am selling 3 products, and I am going to launch my 4th product this month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And are they all related to each other? Are they all products that are in the same kind of space?
Right, exactly. When you're doing FBA, the idea is that you want to create like a line of products that are related to each other, and the reason why you want to do that is because there's opportunity for things like cross promotions that you can do on Amazon. So, for example, if your first product might go well together with your second product, and if your customer can get some sort of discount if you buy both product at the same time and things like that. And so that is a way to leverage the Amazon platform and basically, how do you say, like get more sales.
I want to eventually get into the sourcing aspect of it as we talk, but Walk me through the basics. If I'm, just getting started and I'm doing FBA, like what's my first step?
Okay, so the first step you want to do is you want to basically go on Amazon.com, and then you want to look for you probably want to go through different product niches that you personally would want to get yourself involved in. Primarily because like if it's something that interests you and is of importance to you, you're probably more emotionally invested, and therefore like when you have the opportunity to go research a product or things like that, you know exactly how you can improve it or maybe figure out a way to sell it better than your competition because you have a vested interest in it. And obviously there are other things that are really just as important, like for example you want to ensure that the product is already selling well on Amazon. There's enough room in the market for you to sell on Amazon, and you want to ensure that like things like the keywords that you are going to have to use in order to get a sale for your product, it's not too competitive and things like that for ad purposes. And then once all that is done, you just basically pull the trigger on it and go full throttle towards getting that first fulfillment into an Amazon warehouse. I just realized that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
No, I mean people if you want to go deeper into it, I would highly recommend the Amazing Seller podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. TheAmazingSeller.com has been basically been my one source for all my tricks and things like that kind of helped me to the success that I have reached right now.
One of the criteria that you assess, a product on is the BSR, the bestseller ranking, right?
Yep.
How would you define that?
Bestseller ranking is Amazon's way of ranking products that are selling really well on Amazon platform. And the way that you get this BSR, this bestseller ranking number, is by going to Amazon, clicking on a product, scrolling down a little bit, and in the middle of the page on that product page, Amazon will show you information about what category this product is in and things like that, and along with that, it will show you the BSR, the bestseller ranking for that product, and it's basically a way to assess how well this product is selling. And so if the BSR is a low number, you know that it's selling very well. If it's a very high number, it's not selling so hot.
And how would you decide if that's something that you want to tap into?
Like I was saying earlier, when you find a product that is selling very well, what you want to look at is the thought process is, okay, well, I found this product that is selling really well. If I was to look for this product, how would I look for this product on Amazon? And of course, like nobody's going to go into the different categories, click through all of that and find it. What they do is they go to Amazon.com, click on a keyword, and then I put in a keyword that they would put in. They were looking for a specific product, and then on and on from that point. And basically, what you want to do is when you find this hot product, think of multitudes of keywords that would work in order to find that product. Put that product into the search box on Amazon. Scroll through and see like how the rest of the listing for that particular product is doing, and that is of course by checking the BSR for those other related products or similar products.
Do you use Jungle Scout?
Yes, absolutely. It is a must tool for Amazon sellers. The way I was describing previously was how I went about it prior to Jungle Scout's existence, but after I had Jungle Scout, it really saved me a bunch of time in terms of finding a product's the hotness of the product, if you will, how well it's selling, and like what the market is looking, what the niche is looking like for that item.
Yeah, so I mean, for somebody that doesn't know what Jungle Scout is, how would you define that?
All right. So Jungle Scout is a Chrome extension that you can implement on your Chrome browser. And basically, what it does for you is that when you are going on Amazon, it's made specifically for Amazon. You can get a snapshot of the product, the product's BSR, how much volume it is selling in a month, and how much the seller of that product is approximately making based on the bestseller ranking for and then it does that every time you are typing in a certain keyword for a product or something like that, or if you are looking at a particular item on Amazon. If once let's for example, let's say you are on a singular product page, you click on Jungle Scout, it will show you the sales volume, bestseller ranking, how much the seller is making. It will predict that for you, basically.
After you've identified a product niche that you should go into, the next step is sourcing that product, and that's kind of where I come in. That's where my interest has peaked with FBA.
Absolutely.
And we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, like sort of the issues that are involved, especially with the newbie FBA guys, and how my company can help out those people. So,
right.
Really quickly, what were the initial things that you struggled with? You're a little bit unique though, because you're based in China, right?
Right.
Like most of the guys are not in China. They've never been to China. They have no idea what's going on down here.
Right.
So what do you think are the main issues that FBA guys have initially?
First and foremost, I would say it's the speed. One of the biggest benefits that I see what you can provide is speed for sure. So it takes about maybe 3-4 days to get your products from China to wherever you live, and every time that you ship them a sample, let's say for example, it would cost around $30-$40, but within China, because shipping is so cheap, these companies would send you these samples for free. And if, as a guy living in China, Rico, what you can provide, your customers and your clients is that, like, if they were to ship it in China, you would get the sample within the next day. And think of a scenario where, you as the FBA seller, you have sourced all your products. I mean, you have an idea of like what factories you want to work for. You contact all of them in one day, and then they all ship it to you, Rico. On that day, tomorrow you would have it, and then you can probably do, some sort of Skype consultation call with your client, the FBA seller, and then, really expedite the process while saving them a couple of $100.
In terms of samples, what I found is either you're going to get the samples, you're going to pay for shipping only, or you pay up to 2 times the per unit cost, which is still going to be significantly less than how much you'd pay if you ship them out, So if the per unit cost is $5, maybe you pay $10 plus like $2 for shipping. And that comes to you the next day, like you said, Zam.
Yep.
Whereas if you're shipping it out directly to the States or Canada or Europe, you're probably going to pay upwards of $40.
Yep.
So that's one thing that I really realize is, and I've started to do this with our first FBA customers, is, I've been receiving the shipments on their behalf, and I've been taking, a million pictures, comparing the quality to the sample. That's actually one thing I didn't realize the first time we talked about it, is I think the best approach is, if I have a physical sample of the product that you want to source, from FBA, then it's so much easier for me, because I just compare the quality that I receive in terms of samples to the physical sample from Amazon. So that's one more thing I've learned in this process of actually working with FBA sellers. And the added thing is, what I'm trying to do is, like, it's kind of flexible. Either I can help you throughout the whole process, or just that sampling process, and then introduce you to the suppliers at that stage.
Absolutely.
And man, it's so crazy. I don't know why I ignored this part of sourcing before. In my mind, I put it in like a different area. I don't know why. I have no idea why. And it just clicked like 2 months ago. I think it was you, was one of my other best friends, Nick, who's doing FBA, and I have 2 other people that I know doing FBA, and I was like, why am I not helping people in this realm? Like,
yeah, and considering like how the Amazing Seller podcast is gaining in popularity, and just FBA is just absolutely on fire within the marketing, internet marketing world, digital nomad world. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think there's tons of opportunity for you as a sourcing agent.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about location independent income, which is also another kind of, I mean, it's been hot for a while, I guess, since the 4-hour work week, right?
Yep.
That's FBA is like one of the lowest barriers of entry into that world, right?
Absolutely.
And actually, I'm kind of curious. Do you know a lot of FBA guys? Do you know a lot of FBA people selling on Amazon right now?
I guess it would depend on like what you mean by a lot. I think
I'd say more than let's say close to 10. Do you know 10 people?
Yes, absolutely.
Like personally?
I think right. I do. I'm kind of in a unique position because I've been doing like this whole digital nomad for about 2 years, and I know that a lot of people. I used to live in Chiang Mai in Thailand, and so my experience is not what the normal person who is doing this on the side is going to experience, because since FBA has gotten like really hot in Chiang Mai, a lot of my friends were jumping in on it, and so and the digital nomad community in Chiang Mai happens to be one of the biggest, and so I know a ton of people that are doing in Chiang Mai, and so yeah, I mean, I guess that answers your question.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking that question is I feel like it's almost a gold rush in a sense.
Oh, okay.
And I'm wondering if you know any people that have tried and failed.
I mean, I do. I actually put myself in that category as well, because even though I'm like selling 3 products right now, not all of them I would consider successes. Some were okay, one was like great, one was just dead in the water, and so it is kind of like a gold rush, but like it does, but that is like an opportunity at the same time for you to step up your game. Like nowadays, I don't think that products as an FBA seller, you can afford to just simply stick a label on it and sell it. You got to really think about this game as on the line of a product development type of ordeal, as opposed to just private labeling.
Yeah, but Sam, you're profitable, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so you didn't fail.
No, well, yeah, but like, I want. Well, for me, my standard is that I want all of my products to be doing awesome.
I'm talking about the dudes who have spent. This is the first time doing FBA, and they've dropped $5,000 and then lost that money.
Interesting.
Because the products didn't sell, or whatever happened. Maybe they got screwed over by a manufacturer. Like, I want to know more about that, because as far as I'm part of the groups on Facebook, and by the way, if you're listening to this, like there's like a ton of FBA groups on Facebook with thousands of people. And I'm in there right now because I'm like kind of like a little bit of a shark, to be honest. Like I'm like in there, okay, looking for customers and answering questions. I'm trying to be legitimately helpful. I'm not there being like, hey, check out my company. But what I've noticed, what I've noticed is that it's very much, which is great. It's very much a community. It's very much rah and let's do this. Hey, I just got my first samples. Hey, and everyone likes, comments like, this is awesome. But I don't see too many people who are just like, oh man, I spent $6,000 and my product is just not selling. Like, what am I gonna do, kind of thing. And I feel like if you have that amount of people doing FBA, not everyone is gonna be successful, right?
So, well, you have to consider that, like, even though there's a lot of people within that group, I have a feeling that a lot of them are not really action takers. Even though there's like 10,000 of them, how many of them are actually taking action, you know? And I think that, I mean, from my experience myself, like I know many people who are interested in doing FBA, but they're so scared to pull the trigger on it. And in addition to that, for people who are thinking about doing FBA and have a little bit of a cold feet, what I would say that is, you know, if you just follow the amazing seller, like, you know, his advice and things like that, and instead of just thinking of this game as, oh, I can just slap a sticker label on something like that and then sell it. Instead of that, just think about how I can truly add value. How can I build a product that truly add value to the marketplace, along with, you know, the statistics that you should be following when you're doing your research. I don't think that you will be a complete failure just because of because like the traffic that Amazon gets. It's unbelievable.
So just as like a side note, I've heard even on the Amazing Sellers podcast, like I've heard him mention without saying the actual name about courses where people pay $5,000 to become an Amazon FBA seller expert type thing. What are those, and do you believe in them?
I think would it be okay if I just mention the name on here? Or
I really don't give a fuck. It's fine.
Okay, all right. Well, the one that is like notorious is called the Amazing Selling Machine.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like I knew the name was similar. That's why I pointed it out. Because I had a feeling people would go and type in the Amazing Seller and then they might click on the Amazing Selling Machine, you know?
Right. I think the main reason why it just got like so much hype and why it costs why it costs that much and why people are willing to put in that amount of dough is because like it's just like I believe that a lot of those people got in on it when the market was really fresh, so a ton of people got success off of it, and so that massive amount of people that got that initial success created like this tidal wave of, oh my god, I did it through this amazing seller, and you know, I got all my money back and all that stuff. And I think that is like what really hyped it up. And but I guess like going into, I guess like making this come back full circle, I found that I had some of my friends who had that course, and I took a look at it, and I also compared it against Scott's podcast, which is the Amazing Seller. And all I can tell you is that if you're following Scott's method, I mean, you're basically
doing the same thing.
Good as, yeah, it's like the same thing. Actually, the Amazing Seller is even better, I would say, in my opinion, just because he gives out, you know, great advice so freely, and you know, they're just as valid.
That's one of the things that he said, actually. So just to be clear, there's the Amazing Seller podcast, which is Scott Vogel's podcast. That's a free podcast, amazing value. I'm listening to it right now. I'm drawing parallels in terms of sourcing, and I'm learning about FBA through that. And then there's the Amazing Selling Machine, which is a course where you pay $5,000 and they coach you to create your Amazon business, which, like Zam said, probably initially it was early days, so people became super successful after taking that course. But you know, if you're taking the course, paying that amount of money, you might as well just listen to the podcast for free, you know?
Yeah. And I completely agree.
He mentioned that, like, I remember him saying, is like, you know, the stuff that I'm talking about right now, you know, a lot of people have paid $5,000 for. I was like,
yeah, absolutely.
I was like, what is he talking about, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like Scott, Scott is, he's a really cool guy. I mean, like his content on his website, it's like so much more than just like how to, you know, find successful products. It's also like, you know, he brings in guests that gives you hints about like how you can, you know, build your Amazon business so that you can actually sell it and things like that, or like, you know, tips on how to do like PPC right. How do you, you know, fix you know, a bad customer complaint, things like that. I mean, he's like a really open book about his techniques and things like that. And so it really appealed to me and is super helpful so it is. I would highly recommend his podcast.
Do you listen to Matt Ward's FBA All Stars?
I do not listen to that. I mean, I have been just relying on The Amazing Seller for all of my information.
Yeah, I tried listening to that podcast, and I'm not. Maybe I haven't given it too much of a chance, but so far I'm not like. I didn't get hooked. Let's put it like that. I didn't get hooked.
Oh, okay. I see.
Like Scott Voger, I'm like, oh, he seems like a relatable guy, and there's always value. He always seems like excited on the podcast. And I was even thinking, I was like, maybe I should sound more excited on my podcast, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think like on some of his latest podcasts, he was talking about his entrepreneurial journey, and then I think that the fact that he's able to share these type of things is one of the reasons why I'm more, like relate to him, because like, dang, I went through the same type of BS going down this entrepreneurial path. It's kind of cool that, we're just both doing Amazon, but our experience as an entrepreneur is similar.
What do you think being in China has been? How do you think being in China has been beneficial for you as an FBA seller? And like, I mean, that's a pretty obvious question, but why aren't more people moving down here for that specific reason?
Okay. So like all the benefits that you provide as a client, because you're living, all the benefits that you're providing your clients because you live in China is, that's one of the things that I have access to, that which we talked about earlier. The other thing that like really I find beneficial is like the whole banking, paying money to my factory, because over here in China, you can do a direct deposit of cash right into their account, and you don't have to pay anything for like wire transfer fees and things like that. To me, this was really important, just because when I was beginning this business, I was bootstrapping. That's another benefit of living in China, and also. For better or worse, being in China is not like being in Chiang Mai or all those other sexy digital nomad destinations, in the sense that there's not a lot to do around here. And so it forced me to basically focus on my, FBA business. Like,
man, I have no idea 100%. What you're talking about. There's a lot of things to do in China, bro.
I mean, from my perspective, at least.
I'm gonna be interviewing Nick soon, and one of my questions, Nick Ramil from Brink.io. So one of my questions to him was like, how did you not get distracted? Because I find a lot of people when they move to China, they get, you're in China, rent is cheap, beers are cheap. Yeah. Like maybe you're teaching and you're making, $3K a month, and you're only spending like 500 or 600 on bills, And
right.
People go crazy, man. People get distracted.
I mean, so I think personally for me, it has to do with where I live right now, because I'm so far from like the city center and everything, because we were just, me and my roommate, we were just trying to really bootstrap our businesses. And so around where I live, at least, there's not a lot to do. So I guess in many ways, it's kind of my fault. But it turned out to be a benefit, though, because like it forced me to concentrate on my business like 24/7. And even though the fun has dramatically gone down, my business has dramatically gone up. And so for me, I would say, at least personally for me, that's one of the main benefit of like living in China. And I've been doing digital nomading for about 2 years, and it's like the first time that I really had I consider this one to be a true like kind of entrepreneurial success, and I owe that partially to the fact that there's not a lot of like fun things to do, and I was just so nose to the grindstone and just FBA 100% all the way, so I attribute that to being in China.
For me, I mean, I can see that. I think I can see if I was in another city, if I was in Thailand, or if I was in Singapore or something like that, like I might be more distracted. But I think for me as well, it's just like a mindset. Like when I came here, I knew what I wanted to do. So even though the first 3-4 months I was kind of like in that honeymoon period of, I'm in China, this is very interesting, I want to eat snake, I want to I want to climb this mountain, and all these things. But then it gets to a stage where I'm just used to being here, and like daily life is daily life. I'm just like grinding, I'm not interested in going out and all these things. They don't appeal to me as much as like focusing on the business.
Oh, dude, man. I mean, focus on the business. The rewards is money.
Yeah.
And money on money that you made through your own hustle, on, making money on your time, which is one of the best feelings in the world.
Have you had any situations with your manufacturers where if you were not in China, you might not have been able to fix it as quickly, or, it might have turned into a much larger issue than what it was?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole thing about the banking, where because I am living in China, the fact that I can deposit money and it would clear instantly, right? That really saved my butt a few times, because if you were going to do like a wire, a transfer through, if you're trying to do a cheap wire transfer through things like Western Union or, all those type of services like that, it takes like 3 to 5 days to clear. I had situations where my manufacturer told me that, they would finish it on a certain day of the week. Like a Wednesday, and then my manufacturer told me that, it's ready to ship. But then, if I had to make that transfer that day, the goods were ready, but I still had to wait 3 or 5 days in order to for the money to clear, so they couldn't ship it out. I had a buddy of mine here who, took care of that for me, and because he was in China and he was able to make that direct deposit, it cleared instantly, and I was able to save myself 3 to 5 days of business days where I'm simply not just leaving money on the table because of these delays. So it was very helpful.
Cool. What are you with your factories? Like, is it 3 separate factories? I know you said the products are in the same categories, kind of similar categories.
Right. That's one of the blessings that I've had with my product lines. All 3 products, and including my 4th product, is going to be made basically in the same factory. So it keeps the organization a bit tidier, which is awesome. But my factory is really responsible for just like making 1 or 2 things. They still have to source other products to make my product in order to like make it the full product, if you will. And so I think like for one of my products, it's like, it's a very simple product, but it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 different factories in order to come together to make one thing. And so even with a simple product, I still have bottleneck. It could potentially have bottleneck issues here and there.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Is your factory doing your packaging, 1, and then 2, what kind of customization are you doing right now? Are you doing any customization for your products?
Yes. So my factory handles all of the packaging for me, including they take care of the printing as well. I don't think that my factory does the actual printing. They hire out a printing factory to do it for me. But the main point of contact is my main factory. I send them the design, and they send it out to somebody else that can do it for me. And I have them do everything. Basically, with this business, I'm trying to make this as hands-free as possible. And so I keep it that way. What was the second question again?
What was the second question? Customization.
Oh, customization. Yes. So this goes back to like what I said much earlier in this conversation. When you, especially nowadays with the FBA becoming a bit more challenging, you really want to try hard in this particular area of customization, and not just like any customization. Don't just put in a different packaging design or something like that. Really think about like how can you make the product better than what is already out there in the marketplace, and And because that is going to really transcend all the way down into the marketing, because then you'll be able to, say that in your bulletins on your Amazon page, and and if you put in an honest work, people will see that, and it will make you, it will differentiate your product in a genuine way, in an authentic way, and people will see the product, and it will help you stand out so much better.
It seems like, okay, so I was talking about the gold rush aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like at every stage, after the more it gets popular, the more people have to push to make their products more unique. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like in the future, people are just going to be making their own products from scratch. That seems like the direction that most high-level FBA guys are going into.
I think like with product labeling, I'm not sure if that is what is going to happen, because to me, I think like full customization is on the line of doing kind of like a crowdfunding campaign, because I mean, if it's really that unique, you probably want to really take your brand to the next level and just do your own thing. What I've seen Amazon, I mean, as far as Amazon, I mean, certainly you can leverage Amazon, no doubt about it, but I think that like full customization, it has its drawbacks, because like it will take a lot longer for you to manufacture the product. And one of the biggest reasons why Amazon FBA appeals to many people is because of how fast that you can, kind of scale and like get your business up and running.
Well, that's why I'm talking about the high level guys doing it, because those guys will be at a stage where they have
for sure,
4 or 5 different products, and then now they're just like, okay, how do I make something that no one else can replicate?
Right.
And
that's certainly true, right? But even then, I mean, for me personally, from my take, like if I were to have something that's so customized, I'd probably just try to move away from FBA and just kind of do my own thing with a Shopify store or something like that.
Yeah, that seems to be also the end goal. Like I was listening to Scott Vogel's recent podcast, and he was saying that the whole idea is eventually to build your brand and have your website where you have a blog and build it up like that, and then eventually just move away from Amazon and have your own online store.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, as great as Amazon FBA is, you have to understand that you're playing in their sandbox, and so they have the power to just simply pull away the cord at their whim. And I've seen some of these suspension notices, and Amazon is absolutely cutthroat about it. I mean, they don't really tell you why they're closing down your store or why they're suspending your product listing or anything like that. They just do it, and so having your own Shopify store is, by having your own store, you're not subjected to these random acts of random acts of things that cut off your business.
So Sam, what do you think is the future for you in FBA? What's your end goal?
I think I would really like to get it to about maybe 3, 4, or 5 like solid products that I'm absolutely knocking out of the park, and leverage Amazon as soon as I can. But honestly, I think that I would probably try to go down the full customization of a product or completely different product line, where I'm utilizing maybe even a crowdsourcing campaign in order to fund my product and create another brand. I think that for me, like FBA, I see as more of a means to an end, so more so than a brand that I'm trying to build.
So are you worried about the saturation at all?
Me, not too. I'm not too worried, primarily because I know that I'm in China, and that it would, if being here in China, I can pick a product and customize it faster than my competitors in the US, if it has to come down to that. And overall for me, I kind of embrace the challenge of the saturation, because then it forces me to think outside the box more, work harder a little bit in order to get my share of the pie.
So before I take it to the, how we close the podcast with the personal questions, what advice would you have for anybody right now who's interested in FBA or is an FBA seller?
I would say just get started, just pull the trigger. If you're kind of reluctant about it, I am a big advocate of taking calculated risks. So maybe like if you can, you don't have to like order thousands of pieces or anything like that, but like give yourself a budget of say $500 or something like that. Or I mean, Scott called these like the $500 or $1,000 challenge for FBA, where you try to get a product up on selling on Amazon for $1,000 or $500. And just don't think of it as like a way, you're making money out of it, but you're using that money to educate yourself on how the business works. And that and just getting started would be my piece of advice.
What is the smallest thing you've done that's given you the largest results? So the 20% that's given you 80% of your returns.
Oh, here, I would say mastering Amazon traffic. That is definitely the 20% that will give you probably, that'll definitely give you more than 80% of your results. I mean, the math doesn't add up, but you get what I'm trying to say.
All right. And then if someone were to understand you better or to understand your business better, what 3 books should they read, or maybe 3 resources that you'd recommend?
Well, you already know one, which is The Amazing Seller. That is freaking awesome. I would also, the second resource would be the Amazing Seller Facebook group. And the third thing I would say would be, let me see here. I don't know, man. I think those 2 should be more than enough for you to, really get going on this.
Maybe the last one could be a book?
A book?
Yeah.
You know what? My favorite book that taught me business probably The Millionaire Fast Lane. That would be it, yeah.
I like that book as well.
Yeah.
3 apps you can't live without.
Ooh la la. WeChat. WeChat, of course.
We've talked about WeChat before on the podcast.
Yeah. WeChat, I guess, Facebook, and let's see here, the Kindle.
Oh, Kindle, interesting.
Yeah. Right. So.
All right, man. I think that was a great episode, man. I think it was a super introduction into FBA. I think a lot of people who have never heard of it would find it very interesting. And I think people who are in it right now would also find it interesting to listen to 2 guys in China talk about FBA,
Absolutely.
Because for me, it seems like the craziest thing about this whole FBA thing is that like 90% of these dudes are not here,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks for being on the podcast, Zam. Any last words?
Just, keep it, just get started. Like really try to get an understanding of like why you're starting this business in the first place, because when the bumps come along the road, like the speed bumps, your why is going to help you get through those like those initial speed bumps, and just keep on pushing forward, and success will be yours.
Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
You can email me at zamtual@gmail.com. I think that's probably the best way to reach me, through my email.
And of course, if you want to reach out to us, that's info@sourcefindasia.com, info@sourcefindasia.com, and your website is sourcefindasia.com/made-in-China. Thanks for listening, and see you guys next time.
Peace.
What's up, YouTube? Thanks for watching the video. If you like this kind of content, I have a special gift for you. It's called the Definitive Sourcing Guide Arsenal. It's our 4-step sourcing guide. The link is in the description below. Of course, we also have the Made in China podcast at sourcefindasia.com/made-in-china. Link is in the description below. And of course, subscribe.